What if someone told you that a man once hijacked a plane, demanded a ransom, and then vanished without a trace? Sounds unbelievable, right? But that's exactly what happened in the case of BCooper. Our story begins on a chilly November evening in 1971 when a man known only as BCooper boarded a flight from Portland to Seattle. This seemingly ordinary man would soon become a legend in the annals of crime history. Armed with nothing but a briefcase and a cunning plan, Cooper managed to hijack the plane and demand a hefty ransom. But here's where the story truly veers into the realm of the extraordinary. Once the ransom was paid, Cooper did something that still boggles the mind. He parachuted out of the plane, disappearing into the night and leaving behind a trail as cold as the wind he vanished into. His identity and fate remain shrouded in mystery, a living enigma that continues to perplex investigators. Now let's dive into the details of this baffling case. On November 24, 1971, a man calling himself Dan Cooper boarded Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. Imagine a nondescript man, calm and collected, settling into his seat on a Boeing 727. He's dressed in a business suit, holding a black attaché case. He orders a bourbon and soda, lights a cigarette. Just another traveler on a rainy afternoon, destined for Seattle. But Dan Cooper was anything but ordinary. Once the plane was in the air, Cooper passed a note to a flight attendant. She initially dismissed it, assuming it was just another flirtatious message from a lonely businessman. But Cooper insisted, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The note detailed his demands: $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. His calm demeanor throughout the ordeal was unnerving. He was polite, even tipping the flight attendant. He wasn't a desperate man on the edge, but a man with a plan, a man in control. Cooper directed the pilots to maintain a low altitude and slow speed. He knew exactly what he was doing and how to do it. Meanwhile, on the ground, authorities scrambled to meet his demands. They collected the money, marking the bills for future identification, and gathered the parachutes. The passengers, oblivious to the hijacking until the very end, were told that their landing in Seattle was delayed due to minor mechanical difficulties. Eventually, the plane touched down in Seattle. It was then that Cooper allowed the 36 other passengers to disembark, maintaining his hostages, the flight crew. The ransom was delivered, and with the money and parachutes now in his possession, Cooper ordered the plane to take off once more, destined for Mexico City. The plane landed, the passengers were released, the ransom was delivered, and the plane took off again with only Cooper and the crew on board. But what happened next is a story that continues to baffle and fascinate, even more than half a century later. But what happened next is where the story truly becomes one for the history books. Following the successful extraction of the ransom, BCooper outlined his audacious escape plan. With the calmness of a seasoned pro, he instructed the crew to set a course for Mexico City. His demands were precise. He wanted the Boeing 727 to maintain a low altitude and a reduced speed. After ensuring that the crew understood his instructions, he began his preparations. As the aircraft hummed through the cold night, somewhere between Seattle and Reno, Cooper did the unthinkable. He strapped on a parachute, secured the ransom money, and approached the aft stairs. The Skyjacked plane, a mid-air stage for this grand spectacle, was about to witness a vanishing act unparalleled in the annals of crime. The aft stairs opened, the cabin pressure dipped, and the frigid air rushed in. Cooper, standing at the edge of the abyss, was staring at the darkness below. Then, with a leap of faith, he jumped. The Skyjacker, the ransom, the parachute, all were swallowed by the darkness. The aft stairs closed, the cabin pressure returned to normal, and the plane continued its journey, now minus 1 passenger. Back on the ground, the news of the daring escape had law enforcement scrambling. Search parties were organized, the possible landing zone was combed, but all efforts proved futile. The vast wilderness had swallowed Cooper, the parachute, and the ransom money. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement, the vanishing act had been successfully executed. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Yet, there was no sign of Cooper or the money. The man who had hijacked a plane, extorted a ransom, and skydived into oblivion had vanished from the face of the earth. The audacity of the crime, the daring escape, and the ultimate disappearance turned D.B. Cooper into an enigma, a phantom who had outwitted law enforcement and vanished without a trace. Despite extensive searches, neither Cooper nor the money were ever found. In the aftermath of the Skyjacking, one of the most extensive manhunts in American history was launched. The FBI, along with local and state law enforcement agencies, threw themselves into the daunting task of hunting down the elusive D.B. Cooper. Their first order of business was to scour the suspected landing zone, a formidable swath of wilderness in the Pacific Northwest. Despite the deployment of search parties, helicopters, and even submarines, the only trace they found was a single instruction placard that had likely been ripped off the airplane during Cooper's daring escape. The FBI also chased down thousands of leads, cross-referencing passenger manifests, interviewing potential suspects, and even conducting door-to-door inquiries. They compiled a composite sketch of Cooper, using descriptions from the flight crew, and circulated it across the country. Yet the man in the sketch seemed to blend into the crowd, a testament perhaps to Cooper's everyman appearance. One of the most significant breakthroughs in the investigation came nearly a decade later. In 1980, a young boy stumbled upon a rotting package filled with $20 bills on the banks of the Columbia River. The serial numbers matched those of the ransom money given to Cooper, and for the first time, the investigators had a tangible piece of evidence linking Cooper to a specific location. However, the discovery raised more questions than it answered. How did the money end up there? And where was the rest of it? Despite these efforts, the FBI officially suspended active investigation of the case in 2016, citing a lack of new information. The case of D.B. Cooper remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the annals of American crime. For nearly 50 years, the identity and fate of the daring Skyjacker have remained shrouded in mystery. Yet despite all these efforts, the case remains unsolved. The story of D.B. Cooper continues to captivate and baffle, a testament to the enduring allure of a good mystery. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged about the identity and fate of D.B. Cooper. Each theory is as intriguing as the next, painting a picture of a man shrouded in mystery. The first theory, perhaps the most sobering, suggests that Cooper didn't survive the jump. It was a stormy night in November when he leapt from the aircraft with a parachute and a bag full of cash. The conditions were far from ideal, and given the fact that his body was never found, many believe that he perished in the wilderness. Then, there's the theory that Cooper was no ordinary passenger, but an experienced skydiver. The manner in which he hijacked the plane, his knowledge of the aircraft's configuration, and his apparent calmness during the jump, all these factors fuel the speculation that he was a professional. Some theorists even suggest that he may have been a paratrooper or a military veteran. But perhaps the most tantalizing theory of all is the one that posits the entire incident was an inside job. Could Cooper have been an airline employee or someone with intimate knowledge of the Boeing 727? Could there have been accomplices on the ground ready to whisk him away once he landed? This theory, while more complex, adds another layer of intrigue to an already captivating tale. Yet, despite these theories and the countless hours spent investigating them, the truth about D.B. Cooper remains elusive. Was he a daredevil, a desperate man, or a meticulously planned criminal mastermind? Was he swallowed by the wilderness, or did he successfully escape, living out his days under a new identity? To this day, the D.B. Cooper case continues to captivate and baffle experts and amateurs alike. So who was D.B. Cooper, and what happened to him after he jumped from that plane? From the mysterious disappearance to the audacious hijacking, the vanishing act, the relentless investigation, and the myriad theories that followed, D.B. Cooper's story is one woven with enigma and intrigue. Cooper's audacious feat of skyjacking a plane in 1971 and then disappearing without a trace has kept us guessing for over half a century. The investigation, despite its depth and breadth, failed to provide a definitive answer to his identity or his fate. The theories, as diverse and imaginative as they are, only add to the enduring mystery. Did he survive the jump? Did he live out his days under a new identity? Or did he meet his end in the unforgiving wilderness? The truth may never be known, But one thing is certain, the legend of DB Cooper continues to grip the imagination of people around the world.